All right, we're sitting down here with Kathy Pruitt, who has a very interesting story, and these are the kind of stories that we love to touch on with the BWR, with who it brings to the BWR. And really, before we get into it, Kathy, let's kind of hear a little background on your story, what you've done, where you're at now, and kind of what everything brings you to BWR.
That's pretty much my whole life history. So, been riding bicycles, motorcycles, anything with two wheels since I was about 4. My family was super motocross, motorcycle-centric growing up. That transitioned into mountain bikes. I love the wind in my hair. I like the challenge of being by myself, doing something. And it ended up racing World Cup circuit for about, I think, almost 15 years. Started when I was 14 till about 29. And it ended my racing career kind of with a pretty big bike accident. I'm fine now, but I just took a moment. I had 3 or 4 months to recover, and I decided I didn't want to race anymore. Took a step away, started working in the industry. Bikes have progressed a lot since then, since the 2000s, early 2000s. So enduro racing is awesome. I live in San Diego now, and I work for Canyon Bicycles. And there's a lot of amazing bikes to choose from, but accessibility to mountain bike trails down here is a little further away than I'd like. So been road riding, which has been super fun.
So, speaking on that, with your background, we don't have, I'd say, too many, female downhill World Cup racers.
No.
How was that? Can you give us kind of a couple brief, hints of, what you have done? Or, what, you're pretty legit over here.
Yeah, so I'm pretty confident in my background with what I've done, which was why I was able to step away. I've won multiple national championships, world championships, World Cup titles, podiums. My friends all mostly still race. But at a certain point, you're like, cool, I did that. Now what else am I going to do with my life? Because nobody's life completely revolves around racing and results. You want to challenge yourself and do something else. That's what life's about, right? Because then you die and you're like, damn, I didn't do it. So aside from the results that I was, achieving, I stepped away and then wanted to achieve some other things. I'm 30. I just turned 37. And I always told myself that I would do endurance stuff later in life. My dad was a pretty good marathon runner, and I just wasn't into it when I was in my 20s or a teenager. Who's into pedaling up a hill? Unless you can go downhill on the other side. So for me now, I think I'm at the right point in my life where I can be like, cool, I did all this stuff, which is awesome, right? You can tell people you did it, ride down the hill fast, medals and things, but it's more of a personal thing now. What else can I do? Because women, I feel get stronger when they're later in life, I guess. I'm not sure if that's a true thing.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, Michael says it's true. So
Michael said, yeah, he said. Yeah.
So, BWR is going to be your first BWR.
Second
BWR, sorry.
Admittedly, the longest I rode before the last year's one was 60 miles.
So how'd that go? Let's go through that real quick.
So it definitely went pretty hard. I started with the first group, all the women do at BWR. You start with the fast guys. I'm really good for about 3 hours, and then I'm kind of just whoa, it's hot. I need to stop, stretch. I was way out of my comfort zone at the top of Black Canyon. So I took a break, and I realized I should wait for my friend Mike. We trained together for the event. I should wait for him. I shouldn't be an a-hole and not wait for him. Plus, it was an excuse to put my legs up because I was in a bad way, and it was only mile 40. So from my experience from the Cape Epic, when I got heat stroke, when I was 22, I realized that I like to turn the gas on way too hard too soon. So, speaking from wisdom and being older, I was cool, just sit down. It's cool. Your pride is probably a little bit hurt right now, but it's going to be all right. Mike never showed up. It was 45 minutes. So I finally decided I better start riding on the road. I'm on it was a Stigmata at the time. And full cyclocross tires. Road riding was really hard. because, well, you have a lot of resistance with the tires that I had. linked up with the group that I'm still in touch with now. 3 guys. We rode 100 miles together the rest of the race. And they brought me through all the road sections. And when someone flatted, we all stopped. When someone wanted a break, we all stopped. So what I got out of BWR was, yeah, it took me 11-something hours to finish. But I really got a full spectrum of what this whole like gravel thing is about, because previously to this sport, it was always about me in a start gate with a full face helmet on, with goggles, with a timer that counts down from 10. You go across a beam and you race down a ski hill as fast as you can for 5 minutes, and you cross the finish line, and nobody really is experiencing the journey with you at all. It's just all in your head. So I bonded with all these different people that showed up to ride around in the mountains for 140 miles. And I never thought that I was going to enjoy it, but I really did. And around 105 miles, I started to feel better. And that's when the first hour that it opened for signups, this year I signed up. I was driving and I was like, oh, I got to sign up. I got to get redemption now that I like get what it's all about. So I've been training a bunch, I guess riding more and feeling good. And I'm still excited to, like, who knows what's going to happen. You're going to make friends. You might crash. You might have a good story. You might, like, do an epic, amazing job for 60 miles and then just bonk.
Sure. Yeah, that happens.
But it's a way more dynamic adventure than what I've been used to with the other sports, like motocross racing or time trial downhill, dirt jumping, anything. It's just way more involved, and there's, like I was telling you earlier, it's like playing a game of chess. Every sport you do, you have to figure out how to like beat the sport, not the people. There's like a formula to success, but how do you get it?
No, it's an interesting way to look at that. Like, not too many people have kind of like mentioned or touched on that. Okay, so last year was your first, unknown. You did 60 miles, then you did BWR, and you went through your ups and downs. You had, loved it. But so, like, fast forward to now, you signed up, you're in, we're here at camp. What are your thoughts? What are your goals? Or, like, what do you think about going into BWR this year now that you have had one, you're into it, like you somehow like endurance now after being a downhill moto chick. So, like, what are your thoughts going into, like, 2020 now, like, going back into BWR?
My thoughts are that I'm going to be a little bit better prepared. I'm going to have some better equipment, thanks to Canyon. I'm going to have more friends out on the road. And hopefully I do better than 11 hours. And I just can have a more full experience rather than feeling like I'm surviving, is really what my goal is. I know people think I go down the hill fast, so that's awesome, but if we were to like look at my uphill versus downhill skills, it's like it's not even. So I'm really working on the uphill skills, which I hope helps. So I have no expectation. I just want to maybe like do a couple hours faster, something like that.
I think that's a pretty good goal to shoot for. Like,
yeah.
So speaking, like, obviously you're, more than qualified with your skills on the off-road. But, then again, you were on a downhill bike and you had all the travel, and now you're on a road bike, gravel bike. And how is that, like, that changeover? Like, now being on a, your Canyon that has no dropper, and you're going, because BWR has a little bit of everything. It's, it's got, washboard, it's got dirt roads, it's got sandy stuff, it's got trails. Like, how do you feel, or like how do you view that, like the off-road parts of BWR, with your background? Right,
that's like a really good question, because today there were some questionable lines happening on Bandy, and I almost didn't take a few of them because I knew people behind me might not know how to unweight their bikes and like bunny hop pointy rocks, and turns out someone got a flat from one of those things. I feel like my background for sure has the whole package of knowing how to handle my bike and knowing where to put it when I need to put it. For me, it's more like, how do I get faster on the road? Because the climbing or the, being in a group and like sharing your responsibilities and pulling and all that stuff, like, I think I've got that. Going down the hills fast with a sketchy little tire, I mean, it never feels good. And I have
That's
to
good
tell
to
you,
hear from someone like you.
like if you've got washboard that's maybe like half an inch thick, right? Which was what today was, I think, and you're going maybe like, I'm just guessing here, 25 miles an hour. You can either accelerate or you can slow down to make it more comfortable. But literally, like if you watch Supercross, what did people do on the whoop section? They gas it. Mm-hmm. Because there's two options. You go fast or you go slow. And so my advice is, well, you commit to one or the other. And so for me, with the gravel bikes, like the confidence that I have with the background, I have no problem with the dirt stuff. It's the pain that you feel on the climbing. Like, how do you get past that?
I don't know. If you figure that out, you let me know. Because I'm still trying to figure that out as well.
I mean, I just carry all the snacks I can, and I think, like, well, if I fully just bonk, I'll just shove a bunch of Swedish fish in my face and hopefully feel better.
No, that's not a bad option at all. Like, it's funny, though, because, like, with you, like, I'd say most people for BWR, like, the majority are kind of, like, road-type riders that maybe don't know how to ride in the dirt, so that's kind of their biggest issue.
They're the ones trying to kill gravel.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's one of those guys here. But like, so with you though, like you're a dirt, girl that has that experience, and so you're learning the road stuff. So like, besides like, just dealing with that, that pain of climbing, like how has it been like adjusting to the road? Because I mean, BWR starts, it's massive. There's, you're close to everyone, you're on the road, you're going fast. Like it is completely different. Like, how's that adjustment been for you to like learn those road tactics, those sitting in, the washing machine, the being at the front, the not pulling in the wind?
It's been a little bit like being at school because it's very straightforward. It's cut and dry. There's a one way to do it. If there's wind coming from a certain direction, like figure out rotation of people. If there's more road, like don't run a mega tire. If your strengths are not climbing, then maybe don't try to break away in the climb. I mean, these are all really obvious things to me, but I'm just saying it.
I mean, some people may not, though.
Yeah. Like, think about what your strengths are and feel comfortable and, like, be super confident in them. But things that you know that you're working on, don't push yourself into a massive hole so that you can't even do the thing that you enjoy and that probably will set you apart if you can at least just try to hang on. Road riding, for me, is way different because you have to stay with a group of people. Not that I'm not a team player, but I prefer to sort of make my own tactics. And so working with a group of people that you're racing with, that's kind of weird. Right?
It's definitely different, yeah.
Think about motocross. Like, nobody in motocross is like, cool, yeah, you can go in front.
No, AC and Tomac aren't working together out there. You know that under the same roof.
Right, yeah. So the concept of shared responsibility for the greater good, I still don't get it. But, like, I do it because it prolongs everybody's experience on the road, right, in the group. The hardest part is just seriously following really close to someone's front tire. That's not really comfortable. Yeah. I think a lot of people struggle with that, but if you don't do it, then you're working harder, right? So name of the game is like move forward, but more efficiently. It sounds kind of dorky, but
no, it's true.
It's true.
There's a lot of backwards things in the road tactics that
I heard that you have some good tactics with the sweater game.
Yeah, the sweater game's on par. Yeah, sweater game 2020. It's like, because then you always have an excuse if it's like you're not doing well, or if you're maybe coming off. It's like, oh, I'm just in my sweater. Like, you can't take me too seriously. But then if you do something good, you're like, oh, well, I was in a sweater,
and you guys suck.
You're in your and you're in your skin suit. Like, joke's on you, bud.
But one more thing I wanted to say about starting in a big group. I grew up racing motocross in a start gate from like age 4. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but it's true. My parents are amazing. They gave me a great childhood of motocross, and every weekend. So I'm fine with that. Did you start
with like a PW50?
You know what I started with? This three-wheeler.
Okay, three-wheeler.
Three-wheeler. I think they're like illegal now.
I think they're just. Yeah, they're illegal. You don't want to be on.
Like I had an open-face three-wheeler, yellow. Anyway.
That's epic.
Then quad, then Pee-wee, then 60, 80, but as they go. But you go. Everyone's racing for. I don't know if people listening to this, if you have not seen a Supercross or motocross race, this is how it goes. There's a bunch of metal in front of your front tire, and it drops down. Everyone goes, like 30 people at the same time. And everyone's going as fast as they can, like as quick as they can, and as probably irresponsibly as they can to cut in front of everybody else to get to the first corner first. So knowing that's my background, I have to hold myself back a lot of times from taking inside lines on corners because that's not a cool move.
Yeah, you don't want to chop someone because more than likely, unfortunately, some of the road cyclists don't have those handling skills to where if you kind of nudge them, that's going to, train wreck.
And you know what else I'm mostly scared of about doing that? Is for sure there's a downhill, but then they're going to just absolutely decimate me on the uphill and not let me ride with them.
Yeah, you might need that wheel when you reach the top of Black Canyon.
It's true.
And there's a headwind.
Yeah. Hey,
guys.
have
that friend.
Help me out. No, you're not cool. Cut me off.
So switching gears a little bit. So you work at Canyon. Canyon is obviously a big part of BWR. So you must kind of have like an arsenal of like what you can try or ride, or do you do 650? Do you do a 700? Like, where are you at right now? Because you're kind of like we were talking about earlier. A little interesting. Like, you have the dirt background.
Yeah.
A lot of people come here and they need to get the bigger tires or have the gravel bike because they can't handle themselves on the dirt, so they don't want to crash.
Safer option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they might be giving that up on the road. You're kind of opposite. So, like, what have you kind of been playing with, or what are you kind of thinking,
right.
as far as going into BWR now that you have done it, the terrain? Like, what's your setup looking like?
The setup I'm going for right now is going to be a skinnier tire. This is what I'm saying right now, but it's January. I rode today with the IRC Serac sand, which they are giving everybody here to use, which is super nice of them. I don't have a lot of experience with different tires other than cyclocross tires, so I rode down what is it called, Black Canyon, down the hill, back down, yeah, and it felt pretty solid, but the Grail with the 650 wheels in those tires, pretty much indestructible. I definitely could have gone faster down the hill, and I definitely would have been more comfortable, and I probably wouldn't have avoided as many rocks today going through Hodges or some other spots. And with the 650 on the extra small, you feel a lot more sporty. When you push on the pedal, it's a lot more of an immediate feeling of acceleration. So in my mind, this is something I've been thinking about, because if I lose like the whole peloton, right? Like if something, I feel bad or something, maybe those little like nuances of them accelerating, I could like stay on the wheel with the 650 wheel. And as long as I'm with the group, then the downhill's not a problem. But it's more about me just trying to excel in a part of this discipline where I don't feel really strong in. And I'm super torn between the two, to be honest with you.
Between the 650 and the...
Between the Grail, okay. And the Ultimate.
So what are the... to you personally, you have a different skill set. Like, so what stands out between the two that kind of tearing you?
When I first started mountain biking, I raced cross-country races for, like, I think 2 times. And then I realized there was downhill bikes. And I always noticed that I would pass everybody on the downhills and, like, lose a water bottle, back in the day. Bottle cages weren't very good. And then they'd all pass me on the uphill. So any gains I got on the downhill were, like, minimal. So my mind is like this. Okay, cool. How long of a gap, how big of a gap can I make with the 650 wheel versus the 700 wheel? And then, like, how much am I losing on the road? I never thought I'd talk like this. I sound like a total dork.
Hey, we all come around at some point, don't worry.
I told you, it's like a game. I'm trying to figure out how to succeed in this game. So I have to look at all the things. I just don't know which one's faster, but I'm going to keep riding both bikes. And I'm going to I'm definitely bringing the Grail to the Rock Cobbler. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, to be decided.
So, what are you feeling on, like, tire choice as far as, like, size? Are you going to go, larger, like some, because of the dirt? Or are you going to go smaller because you can handle yourself in the dirt well? Like a slick, maybe, because you're not even worried about it? Like, obviously today, like what we rode, it's going to be different because we got a little bit of rain, so it's a little more tackier. So, obviously, nice. Obviously in May, it's usually more hard pack and slick. Yeah. And you know that now. So, what are you thinking tire-wise? Yeah. Like with your background.
I'm going to go super high, pretty high inflated, smaller tire. Yeah.
So you're going for I want to make sure I'm good on the road and I can handle myself on the dirt.
Yeah, I can handle myself for sure in the dirt. And I don't really need the skinny tire to be softer. And Yeah,
Michael says 28.
We're here in 28s. If I needed a softer tire, I'd probably use the Grail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm at right now.
All right, so
28.
before we wrap this up, you have a background of racing downhill. Your race runs would be like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And now you did BWR. You did 140 miles. You didn't even do, half that before. So, like, what's your advice to maybe people that are kind of on the fence?
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, like, I don't think I can do this because I haven't done X, Y, and Z.
They don't
and you did it.
feel like they have the confidence.
Yeah,
to
maybe they
come
don't have
here.
the confidence. Maybe
Yeah.
they're a little nervous. They haven't done it. But,
Yeah.
I'd say, like, you kind of went through, like, some of the hardest challenges from your background,
Yeah.
what you've done, to now what you're doing now, and you're stoked.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what's kind of your message, or what's your tip to, like, maybe that person that's sitting on the couch?
Yeah. If you're sitting on the couch and you're looking for something to kind of maybe change your life or just a challenge, like, a year out or 8 months out, I feel like most people like having a challenge to look forward to or a trip or something, right? And if you just set yourself up for, wow, there's this thing I'm going to do that I don't think I can do, but I'm going to do it, that's crazy. But that's how you have the best adventures, is when you try stuff that you don't know if you can even do. Why would you not try it? Like, what's holding you back? Because you might fail? Well, so what? So does a lot of other people. I've failed numerous times at lots of things. Everybody fell over at the stoplight when they first got clip-ins. Like, everybody.
I did that.
I think to really experience life, you have to try things that you're not sure you should even be doing. And I'm not saying you should go, like, skydive without a permit of whatever, parachute knowledge.
They do BWR, though.
But yeah, like, I think that if you're even thinking about something, that means you should ask a question or do it. And that's been my motto lately. Like, if I'm thinking it, that means I probably want to do it. And then you ask yourself, why not? And usually the question is like, I don't really have a valid excuse. I know a lot of people have families, kids, responsibilities, but this is one of those events. And there's a lot of other events that are emerging probably similar to this. I haven't done them. But like the Cape Epic, I did that a long time ago. That really changed my life. And for the better. It gives you a better perspective. It gives you more confidence in yourself. And I think everybody needs more confidence, in themselves, like in a quiet way. I think that if you're thinking about it, just do it. And just know you're going to have a lot of support.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of support here. Yeah. So, yeah, everyone out there on the fence, just do it, And
just send it.
Yeah, there we go.
As I say.
There you go. I will. Hey, much appreciated for the chat. We can't wait to see how you do on May 3rd, and we'll recap with you after that second round.
See you at the Lost Abbey.
Oh, yeah.